My name is Rachael Mwikali from Pussy Power, Coalition for Grassroots. Excited that we're having this conversation around Pussy Power learning circles and what it means for the movement and different constituencies that are organizing through intersectionality. And I'm here with amazing, powerful leader, woman activist, who's going to share with us her experience organizing. At the same time, what does it mean being a woman activist? So I'm going to welcome you, Irene. Introduce yourself fully. Tell us who you are, what you do, and what's so exciting about Irene.
Okay. My name is Irene Maende. Irene is a lady born and raised from Mathare. Went to school in Mathare. So I'm so happy to be here. I'm so honored. My role in the community is to champion for women and girls, especially on sexual reproductive health and rights. I also champion for women, peace and security, and also financial empowerment for young girls. That's all.
That's amazing. And I love also you're doing unafanya mambo ya peace and security. It takes me back also to even vitu zinapen in the country now. Ukiangalia femicide, cases zina rise, ukiangalia GBV, ukiangalia even during floods in Mathare, venye tulilose watu kwa maji, wengine eviction, which also kiniuliza inatampa na peace na security ya women. So from your own experience, Irene, what are the gaps that you see from a grassroots perspective to different power position around kwa these issues and za peace na security?
Personally, born and raised in Mathare, the different gaps that I see, ya kwanza ni lack of information. I feel like there is a gap on lack of information, especially born and raised in informal settlement. People tend to think they're always on the wrong, even when it comes to advocating their rights. So you feel like you are always on the wrong. But deep down, when you come to think of it, sometimes you are always on the right, but the power that is supposed to protect us tend to think that people from informal settlements are not educated, they don't have information. So I believe in regards to eviction, it was not, though it was constitutional, but it was not right under constitution because we have a process that we need to follow from raising awareness that this place is supposed to be evacuated, somebody is not to build this place. So you find that people built on that space, people invested their money. That is a place that women call home. Others have young children. So I believe that if they could follow the correct procedure, it could be nice on our end and also on their end. So I feel like people misuse powers through informal settlements just to make us feel that we are not right, yet we are right. So I feel like women need to be safe in the houses they stay. They also need to be safe and protected. So I believe that the power that people use sometimes during eviction for me and for the community that I live, it was not rightful exercised.
Because if we look from a human rights perspective, there's usually like the eviction on the resettlement bill, which is still in parliament more than 10 years. And from an eviction point of view, that bill should have guided in terms on how eviction is to be done. And which also gives shout out to one of the lawyers, advocate from Mathare was able to take the case to court. And the decision that was made is that people in our community needs to be compensated. However, we all know Kenyan government, they can say that, which is the rule of the law, which gives now us the power to be resettled and to be compensated. But at the same time, they don't give that compensation. And if you look, most of our lived realities, there are things that even if you look from a climate justice perspective on mitigation and adaptation, is that there are things you can't compensate. Like you are feeling where you used to play, people's documents went with water, or when the eviction was happening, people lost a lot of things. The elderly were affected. The children also were traumatized. Because I remember when we were doing also the mental wellness for children with Usawa, children were drawing traumatic experience, but you see, the government did not even provide a mental wellness for anybody who has been a survivor of the floods. So coming back to you, Irene, and your thinking, which I'm happy you're bringing different perspective and experiences and expertise. If you look from also youth involvement into peace and security, and we are seeing governments abducting youth, which also makes us not feel safe. Women being killed, not us feeling safe. Activists being targeted, as activists being targeted. What's your thoughts when you talk about is it the UN Security Council Resolution 1325? Do you feel we're safe?
At let me say right now, I feel like this country has become that no one is safe. In regards to women, we are not safe at our place of work, at our homes, the people you are related to. Like nowadays, you don't even feel safe. Even if you want to book an Uber, you're so scared. Like you must inform your friends or somewhere else. Nowadays, even going for a date, it's so scary. Yet this person, maybe you know them, but you never know. So I feel like in our country, nowadays, you're not feeling safe. And also, speaking the truth, you can be also profiled. So I think like in as much as we tend to use social media nowadays, nowhere is safe. Because we remember just the other week, we had to riot, we had to call out for those people that were abducted to be free. So I feel like we need to gather. I don't know, we need to use force, but sometimes I feel like the government is failing us because young people, we are the majority in this country. We have the largest population in this country, and also the when you see 18 to 35, these are years that most of us have strength. These are the years that most of us are finishing schools. We need jobs. These are the years that we tend to be more productive. And as of now, I feel like in as much as we are trying to get something for ourselves, it feels like you're not supposed to do this. You're not supposed to do this. And also there is no mechanism, there is no law that is protecting us. When you see the extrajudicial killings, we can also relate with the young boy that was killed in Kitengela, who was shot like 12 times. So I feel like government is failing us in terms of job opportunities, in terms of our own security, in terms of we are nowadays we are not meant to be productive. Yet these are the years that I feel like when youth gather together, great things can happen. We can also relate it with finance bill that 2024. If youth could not come out in large numbers, things will not have changed. So I believe like if government could invest in us, could make us feel safe, I feel like great things can happen. So I believe that let us be safe in our own country. You see, even majority of youths, to get employment, you must go to other countries, other Arab countries, of which we're supposed to feel safe in our own country, so that even if we go to other countries, maybe you're not going to look for the job that would have been invested in us when you're in this place. So I feel like the youth peace and security needs to be implemented, and also the government should take it serious. Let us not leave this work for NGOs to support and protect us, give us safe houses. So I believe you're supposed to feel protected, and the people that we elect that are supposed to protect us.
Yeah, and I really agree with you. That also the power is in our hands to ensure that to keep on pushing. And also as right holder, government as a duty bearer, as a mandate to ensure that all of us are safe, protected, and that nothing should happen to us. And when a government fails to do that, I think they should resign, or they might resign. I would like also, I know also you're very passionate about financial inclusion for women. And then also we know clearly when you talk about financial inclusion, the architecture in Kenya, the way it's designed, even from let's say Wezo Fund, which other is it Youth Fund, like the funded even the Asla Fund, which is also another drama. They have never been very inclusive to young women. What's your thoughts around how do we make it this financial inclusion also model be very feministic, because also we have had issues around with microfinance where they target women, they don't educate them even on the rates, and then they make the women sign. And then when they sign, they end up making women to be in a lot of debt. And then women start getting pressure, stress, and then also to contribute to gender-based violence. So I'd love to hear your thoughts around how do we make these financial inclusion models that exist or some that are coming to be very responsive to women.
Okay. Thank you so much, Rachel. For me, I believe that once a lady or a woman has his own money, it's a plus to the family or also to her as individual, because I believe sometimes money or finances is associated with power. When it comes to gender-based violence and finance, it goes hand in hand, because I believe that sometimes women go through violence not because they don't know it is right or wrong. They know it is wrong, but because they don't have that financial independency, that makes them vulnerable to go through the gender-based violence. So I believe that when it comes to loaning the women, first we need to educate them. We need to educate them and we need to empower them. In regards to, maybe I can speak on Ways of Fund because I'm a beneficiary of Ways of Fund. First, what they do, they they teach you about the learning services. They also encourage groups. They don't encourage individual when you come as a group. So, and also you must have something that you're doing. So I believe that when it comes to Uwezo Fund and also the Office of Women Rep, I believe that position was put there to do something constructive in women. So I feel like when they use the Office of Women Rep, the finances are supposed to trickle down to the grassroots levels. So I believe that we need to have good structures, because sometimes we can have the funding, but without good structures, the money cannot trickle down to the grassroots woman that maybe is deserving. So we can also do, once we have good structures, and I believe it's supposed to start at the women rep, because I think the woman rep is supposed to represent women, and there are so many women in Nairobi with different categories. So I believe when we have good structures, then the money should trickle down to the Ways of Fund, because every time you go to that office, they tell you it's either they don't have money or they're waiting for people who took the money to reinvest back or to give them back so that somebody else can borrow. So I believe that if they strengthen on their structures, the money will trickle down to the grassroots levels. So I also believe in financial empowerment of women, because once a woman gets money, it's easy. Like, it is very easy to be used within the family setup, or it is very easy to be used by the same woman to do something constructive. And also it will narrow down the issues of GBV, because most of us, once you are not financially stable, it looks like you are powerless. But once you get even the little coins that you have, the money that you have worked hard for, even the issues around femicides, the issues around gender-based violence, although we can't end them, but at least we can reduce them, because there will be at least a little bit of power that a woman will hold that will enable her to do her things without the dependency of someone else. And also, through that, women having finance in their pocket, it will enable them to also come up with, because I believe that when women come together, great things happen. So I believe that once we get the financial empowerment that we need, I believe that great things will happen.
Yeah, because you like, listening to you takes me back to even now we have been socialized that money is for men, not for women. And some of this conversation we talk about, either it's us in feminist spaces or myself, I call it economic justice, or feminist economic models that work for us. Because when women we want money, people will say we are very selfish. Or there's a book I was reading, it's called Feminist Finances. And looking at how these models have been used, and even what my friend Mondia runs Money Branch, I feel especially people like us from the informal settlement or grassroots community, we need to be socialized or shift the narrative that is not only, let's say, middle class can be talking about money. It's not only, let's say, men can be talking about money, but also we ourselves, we need to know. So within the money discussion, financial models or financial inclusions model, we have to have part of it. And we need to make money our friends, because the way you're saying, also money is power. Um, and even if you're fighting capitalism, people also, for you to be able to fight also capitalism, you need also, the way we're saying, money to fight that capitalism. Because clearly the models, the way it's designed around economic justice is to benefit people like who are more into profit. But from our own perspective, the way I was listening to you, the reason why we want financial inclusion or we want economic, like the way you would say financial empowerment, is that we're able to prevent some of the injustices that we experience or we go through in the hands of men, because also men use it as a tool when they have money to oppress us. They use it as a tool to ensure that violence thrive in such a way that they're able to justify it. And that's the thing. And I will encourage you to continue doing it, insisting more, especially young women and youth who and the gender conforming people, to be able to be financially independent and have some money. And I know also Irene, you've been also been vocal on SRHR, that's sexual reproductive health and rights, and you've gone through also a training with CGHRD or Pussy Power. I would love maybe to hear from your end. How was it, the training, which and also worked closely with Wellspring Foundation? I love to hear, like, how was it? Has it made impact? Do you feel when you when you mix SRHR, financial inclusion, and activism, it sort of supports the development of many women?
Yes. Personally, I'm very passionate about sexual reproductive health and rights because I believe that is the only tool, in as much as we have other aspects. But when it comes to health, I feel like SRHR takes it all, because I believe the moment we are health-wise, we are good, the other things can follow. So personally, the training that I undertook on sexual reproductive health and rights, I think what was my takeaway was on safe abortion, because I believe that in as much as we grow, the moment we understand that we have our own rights towards our body, towards our health, towards our reproduction, our sexual health, I believe that we get empowered and we can make decisions for ourselves. So basically on safe abortion, what I took was we have the rights when to know when to have kids, the kids that you want to have, and also to whom do you whom do you want to have the kids with. So I think that was my takeaway throughout the training, and also through that, it really, I reflected back about where I was and now. So I feel like back when somebody could just, because I believe when ladies are growing or anyone is growing, the only thing that we receive in school, the anything that we are taught in school is the parts, the body parts. But when it comes to SRHR, there is more of just knowing your body outcome. So there is more about sexual health. There is more on maternal health. There is more on family planning, methods and contraception. There is more of safe abortion. There is more of even menstrual hygiene. So I believe that apart from what we get in school, in SRHR, there is more. So I believe that that training was timely and it was impactful on my end, since I deal, like as I introduced myself earlier, I deal with adolescent girls and young women. So such training, it was timely and also good to me, and also to impact other girls in my community.
I know you're taking me back to, is it class 6? Now it's grade 6. And I don't know your thoughts, because also being active in SRHR, I'm like, there's a biggest misinformation or lack of access to information that I feel our education system lacks or disappoint us, individuals, or men, women, or gender-affirming people, is that when we're being taught about the reproductive health organs, yeah, they only say the functions. They don't talk about that your reproductive health is not just about producing babies, but at the same time, you can have this body where even if you're going through periods, and you experience some things like there's endometriosis, there's also fibroids, they don't talk about it. And I know a lot of girls also get affected by some of this chronic SRHR illness. And the fact also the hygiene is brush, not into details. The fact that also teachers don't want to dig in, it's like napitiliwa tu juu. Reproductive health, you have vagina, you have uterus, when sperm meets the eggs, they only think of when people can make babies and not when also not about preventing. And then also saying about abstinence, which I feel that is not just about abstinence. There are children also who are sexually active, like adolescents who are sexually active. Why do you give them information, even protecting themselves, and they decide to have sex amongst themselves, like healthy sex? Because it's the reality, like comprehensive sex education. Because the moment we hide this information, then we get this triple threat rising, where we're having the increased number of teenage pregnancy, increased number of HIV infection, and GBV. You can imagine you get pregnant when you're 13, you have a child, you had sex with someone who do not know their status, maybe get HIV. Like the whole poverty circle and the whole injustice model of even the fact that you are denied to have information is not right. So what I'm challenging you, Irene, we need to take the government of Kenya to court. Because I feel that the fact they deny you that information, they are contributing also your life to fail. Because the information is power. And when you don't have the power, it means, I don't know what's your thoughts.
Okay, I can just relate it in, was it 2021? We are advocating for comprehensive sexual education, especially in school. I remember we had a meeting, but the only thing the government could say that yes, they can reintroduce it in school, but what they don't want to see is the condom demonstration, talking about HIV, the U to U, talking about GBV. So maybe we can tailor-made it to life skills. So I believe life skills, they focus mostly on critical thinking, the basic.
So reproductive health should be also,
Mhm.
sexual reproductive health should be also part of life skills. They're calling it life skills.
They are
But also
calling
it's
it life
supposed to be
skills.
science.
And also it is limited to information. So it still trickles down to the body part of it. So I feel like if you need to have the information, you must find it outside. So I believe that the government could either emulate the CSC, because it was supposed to be launched and also implemented in school, but we still have that debate. I
We
don't
shouldn't, because one of the things I know is that there's a lot of infiltration by religious fundamentalists into curriculum and into school, so that especially if, let's say, you're working with also schools that are also religious supported, they deny information. And then also like the public school, which they shouldn't. And I feel also there's a struggle that we need to push forward, that the CSC is being implemented fully. We can't deny it, it's happening. So I like also like to jump on the other parts of just to know, because also you're young, brilliant, amazing, and a leader. And I know the work that you do is also intense, because also I'm in the same field. I'd love to hear from you. What are the challenges that you experience as Irene when doing this work?
I feel like the challenge that I've experienced sometimes is maybe to get the space to advocate for the SRHR. So first challenge is getting the space to talk about it. It has become a challenge because of maybe I fear profiling, because
You being targeted and
being
criminalized,
targeted,
yeah.
sometimes being judged. Kuna other people maybe being judged. But apart from that, and also I I forgot to say it's not a challenge, but I think through advocacy, I formed my CBO.
Oh, amazing.
So I believe it's
What's the
also
name
a
of your
plus.
CBO?
Rising Dada CBO.
That's amazing. Yeah, and you should own it even when you're giving your profile. So I'm the executive director, Raising Dada, CBO, convener, or the chair. Yeah.
So I believe also funding, it's also a challenge.
And I like the way you also bring the issues of funding. So you, as a young leader within the civil society, how would you think funding model need to be designed for you to be able to access?
For me, I feel that the funding model, it will be let it be, for me, I feel like it should be transparent, and also let it not
What do you mean transparent? Because people
transparent.
send applications.
I know
maybe-
yes, in terms of sending we sent applications, others give response, others they don't give response. So I believe transparent is like, maybe you apply for maybe funding, maybe somebody tells you, who do you know? So I believe that let it be just transparent as possible, because if you ask me somebody, who do I know, and maybe it was a call out, you see, you are trying to say that maybe I should know somebody, so it's like not sending. So I believe, like, in as much as we are sending application, let it be transparent as possible, and let us receive the feedback.
Like there's yes or no.
Yes, or
And not being quiet. And I hear you, and I agree with you that the process should be very inclusive, and feedback, it's important. And I know also there's new way of funding. It's called, I've had people saying friend raising, like friends giving you money for the work you do, and then they support you. And then there's also that part of the proposal. And this is something also within the CGHRD we try to push, even funders. And that's why you remember during the discussion we had on the festival, also is around also how do funders, like for people to know different funding models, so that, if I want to get money from, let's say, Ford, what do I need to know? From Hewlett Foundation, what do I need to know? From 1000 Current Foundation, from AJWS, like different funders, let's say Global Fund for Women. Like, what do I need to know in order for me to be able to prepare? At the same time, also, there's a conversation that all of us are pushing, that funding procedure should not be tiresome, and should not be, because the work we do is intense. And when you do intense work, and for you to be able to continue doing that work, and then you are subjected to a lot of big reports, or to a lot of bureaucracy, it makes even people fear looking for that funding. And then the narrative will still continue, like there's no funding. However, if the funding process was flexible, it makes the work easier, and the work more enjoyable in such a way that you're able to continue with your passion and strengthen the work that you do. So if I may ask you, Irene, if now today you are a funder and you're the one who's giving money, you're the auntie Wamado, or whichever funder you think in your mind, how would you fund someone like Irene who just started the organization and they don't know where to go?
personally, I will focus more on the work they are doing rather than on the documentation.
So how would you give them? And let's assume today, how many meter? You have 100 million Kenyan shillings. And you are the one with the money. And there's someone like you in the position you are now, who just formed the CBO and they want money. So utampatiaje hiyo do? Ama maybe watu watano utawapatiaje hiyo do ndio endelee na hiyo kazi? Procedure gani utatumia?
Kitu ya kwanza, vile tu nimesema, ndio nipeane hiyo pesa, kitu ya kwanza lazima nifanye hiyo call out for application, then they apply, they attach their profile, then I will do the background check, then definitely if they pass, I'll give them the money.
So
then I think mine will be unrestricted
funding.
Unrestricted funding, yeah. Just they do their own activity because they have been doing it.
So will you give them for 1 year, for 2 years, for 10 years, or do you give them for 6 months? How do you want?
I believe for a long term.
How long?
5 years.
5 years minimum.
Minimum.
Amazing.
Because I believe 5 years, these are work that can be documented and maybe you can get something constructive rather than 6 months. I think things could be rushed.
So if you're a funder, you've heard from Irene on how you can resource grassroots movements, feminist spaces, and revolutionary social justice leader, that it's more advisable not to fund less than 5 years, to give like a long-term flexible funding or co-funding, so that people are able to focus on their work and not think. When you give lesser years, people are able to start thinking, how do I fundraise again? How do I do this instead of doing the work? And I agree with you that that's like, even for me, I usually say 15 years. Fund someone 15 years or 10 years so that they're able to do the work and long term. And co-funding is important because you're able to do other things and find on how to build movement wealth, so that even if there's no funding, there's a wealth in the movement that can be able to support the movement, sustain the movement. Yeah. So Irene, as we wrap up, maybe also with you a bit different, because I can see you're a founder and I'm a founder. Maybe is there any question you'd love to ask me around some of these things?
First, I would like to congratulate you for the work that you're doing.
Thank you.
Because I'm a beneficiary, I've attested to it. I really love what CGHRD is doing, especially in my community, because you are in my area, Mathare. So I really appreciate the work that you're doing. And maybe to the question, I would really love to know, aside from activism, like who is Rachel as a person? Yeah.
Which part? The social part or the academic?
Either that would love to share.
Oh, Rachael Mwikali, I love fun. And also can be international troublemaker when it comes to injustices, which I'm unapologetic. That's why, like, I don't fear saying Ruto must go. But apart from that, also, I'm a lover of love. I'm a lover of also what you're doing. People from the community changing their own community. I know it can be hard. That's why I've told you, and I've really impressed the fact you're a founder. That's why I've not done anyone with any of the panelists' question. I've said, Irene asked me a question. I also am a student. I'm doing BA on community development. I'm also a visiting lecturer, or I do sometimes lecture on university. I've done in Pretoria Center for Human Rights. I've done it also USIU. And then what else do you want to know, Irene? I'm happily single. What else do you want to know? I don't have children, but I have children that I support that are not my biological children. Yes, I just love organizing and activism and supporting people who are working the grassroots. So if there's any way I can be also instrumental in the work you do as Rachel or as CGHRD or Power, because I know what it means. Fundraise si mchezo. So you let me know on our best I can be of support. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank
Any
you
other
so-
question?
It's okay. Thank you so much. Because
Can I ask you a question?
I believe,
Yeah.
because sometimes we tend to focus more on organization, we forget about ourselves. So sometimes that's why I also champion for self-care. So I believe that it's good also to know you are good. Yeah.
Self-care, not to be honest, I'm not that amazing. Something that I'm also working on. My friends, they keep on complaining. I hope they'll not see this series and one is around. Because yes, it depends on how we see self-care. Yes, I love fun. But also the work we do is very demanding. And I'm in a point in life also, I want to also take my health seriously. Because I've seen what burnout looks like, what being depressed looks like, or what having anxiety looks like. And for us to be able to continue much more and do this work, we have to be healthy. We have to be mentally okay. And that's also one of the things that even within CGHRD, we have taken very seriously, to be able to support staff and members and community. And that's what we value on our community collective care. Because for me also to be okay, my community has to be okay to hold me when I don't have the energy to do the work, or when I don't have the energy to being me and doing the work that I have to do in a better, meaningful way. Yeah. So what inspires you to wake up every day and do this work?
I'm a human right. So I believe that every human has something unique that also they need to strive about. So what really inspires me is the fact that I'm human, and also I believe in others succeeding. So I think what inspires me is the fact that the fact that I'm a human, and also I love others striving. So I really thank God for that. Yeah.
So, Irene, thank you so much. Yeah, and it's exclusive to be Irene. Yeah, thank you.